Within 20 years, that's 5 election cycles, we will have a viable candidate for President of the United States. But we have to keep changing things. We have to keep mixing it up. And we have to keep living up to the ideals of this country, and no one has done it better than our next speaker. Talk about changing the face and voice of American politics. Well, nobody does it better. I wish I had the picture of the big hair that she wore on the inaugural night in Washington, D.C., but I've been told not to put hair pictures up anymore. We did that with Tammy, and anyway, that old Wisconsin haircut was not the best flattering photo. We didn't do it until after the election, but it was it caused a lot of conversation. It was a lot of fun. But this woman is so amazing. This is a person who, when she was young, she was homeless. She's gone from being in a homeless family to now sitting in the United States House of Representatives and representing the LGBT community with pride. We couldn't be prouder to introduce you to Congresswoman Kyrsten Sinema from the great state of Arizona. Please give me a warm welcome.
Clapping. I haven't even said anything awesome yet. Thank you so much, Chuck, and thank you to the board, the staff, and the volunteers who put together this incredible brunch. It is amazing to be here in Chicago. What an incredible event, and what a beautiful crowd. You know, I love coming to Victory Fund events because nowhere else do you get sound political advice, a vegan option, and a room full of great hair all in one setting. So thank you. I wanted to be here today to personally thank the Victory Fund, to thank Chuck, and to thank all of you for your support over the years. Before I get started, I also want to take a second to thank someone who is a personal friend of mine and has long been a supporter for me as I moved from the State House to the State Senate and now to the United States Congress. And that is someone who all of you, I know, have had the impact of her leadership in your life, and that's Debra. Thank you. You know, for this being only the second Victory Fund brunch in Chicago's history, I think you've done pretty well. Not only do we have a room packed to the gills of people who look fabulous, but we have 3 members of the Illinois delegation from the United States House of Representatives with us this morning, and I want to take a moment to recognize them and thank them for being here. Representative Mike Quigley, who's here this morning. He's off his crutches, so he looks great. Representative Bill Foster and Representative Brad Schneider. I can't tell you how impressive it is to have not just 1, but 3 sitting members of Congress join you this morning in Arizona. I'm not sure we could, well, it's Arizona. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here, and thank you for your leadership. In tough districts all across this country, you see more and more individuals running for Congress who take a strong stand. I remember when Brad was running for Congress, okay, I'm a little biased because his campaign manager was my constituent and is gay. And I remember seeing the email when Brad sent out in his campaign that he stood for marriage equality. And I thought, who's this straight dude in Chicago? Running in a very tough district who came out for marriage equality. It was Brad Schneider. It's pretty awesome. He's definitely not gay though, look at his shoes. I offered to help. I love you, Brad. Okay, back on track. I want to say first and foremost, congratulations to the Victory Fund for helping us take the largest steps in American history towards full equality. And it's our victory together. You know, what I'm talking about, of course, is after so many years of waiting After countless hours of testimony, with what ended in a nail-biting 5-4 decision by the Supreme Court, they did it. Our high court mustered the moral tenacity to bend the arc of justice. Some have called this the most important court decision since Brown versus Board of Education. That's right. For the first time in our nation's history, the Supreme Court decided it was acceptable and legal to gouge Americans' pocketbooks for cable television in the Comcast versus Barrett decision. Wait, that's not it? Oh. Well, I do think the Supreme Court's decision to honor the loving relationships of millions of American families and their kids was a pretty amazing decision. Congratulations to everyone in this room and our friends and partners and allies across the country who helped make that decision happen. Thank you. The Victory Fund had a huge part to play in that decision. But the Victory Fund's support has been amazing in many ways. Little could I have imagined when I was a young girl that I'd be standing here today in this fabulous dress as a member of Congress. You know, only in America can a kid who grew up homeless, living in an abandoned gas station with no running water and no electricity, one day make it to the United States Congress. Victory Fund and strong LGBT leaders like all of you were at my kitchen table from the very beginning of my political career, and I always knew that kitchen would come in handy for something. Yeah. When I announced early last year that I was running for Congress, Chuck called me on the phone and he said, "We'll be here for you all the way down the road to November the 6th. Well, little did Chuck know just how long that road would be. But Victory Fund stuck with me through the primary, through the general, and through those nail-biting 6 days after the election when the race was too close to call. They sat with my team through strategy sessions. They helped me raise the funds I needed to win in a race where the other side had already committed millions and millions of dollars against me. They sent talented staff to work with me on the ground in Arizona in the most critical moments of my election, even in August, right? That's dedication. And together, we showed what the force of a community who stands together can accomplish. You know, there's a saying that we've all heard: if you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu. And what the Victory Fund does is ensure that we've got a seat at the table. Their work to build farm teams at the most local levels of government makes possible victories like mine to Congress. Because of Victory Fund's work, openly LGBT school board members serve in districts where same-sex couples send their children to learn. We have a support network for new state legislators who got their start in politics the same way that I did. And because of Victory Fund's work, we have openly gay mayors and council members in large and small cities alike. Thanks to the Victory Fund, we have a seat at the table in the highest levels of American government. Thanks to all of you, not only do we have little me in Congress, but we have 6 openly gay members of Congress. And we've got Tammy Baldwin, the first openly gay person ever to serve in the United States Senate, but certainly not the last. Today, I want to take a little bit of your time to celebrate our work and how far we've come. I'll take a moment to look back, and then all of us will step up to finish the job. After generations of enormous struggle, many LGBT Americans lamented the sometimes disappointing direction of our movement. Many people felt that we took 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. You know, I experienced that frustration firsthand. In Arizona, I chaired the first ever successful effort to defeat a marriage amendment ban on a state ballot, way back in 2006. What an amazing victory for our country, and in Arizona. But that victory was tempered by the pain that we all felt of loss after loss in 2008, 2010, and even in the spring of 2012. So for all of us, this has been a very, very long road. Many of you in this room have been on the front lines of this battle your entire lives. So to put it in perspective, I'm going to ask us to just turn back the clock about 13 years ago. Now, I was very young back then, So it's hard for me to remember. But let's think back to January 1st of 2000. On January 1st of 2000, not a single state in the country recognized same-sex marriage. The Unconstitutional Defense of Marriage Act had already been the law of the land for 4 years, and for many of us, the idea of same-sex marriage was a distant idea reserved for the next generation, if at all. Antiquated and discriminatory sodomy laws were still in the books in 14 states. The DSM-IV still listed transgender as a medical disorder. Young people were bullied at school, many driven to silent deaths because they couldn't face a world that didn't understand them. And we all held our collective breaths, just waiting for a breakthrough, a signal that the path for equality and opportunity was open. And in 2000, we got an early signal. Vermont became the first state in the country to recognize civil unions. And for the first time in America, gay and lesbian couples were legally recognized as families. So you fast forward 13 years to 2013, and today, thanks to your work, we're on the cusp of marriage equality across this country. From that day in 2000, when the first gay couple stood on their county courthouse steps, to when that same couple stood on the steps of the United States Supreme Court, look at how far we've come. The Supreme Court overturned archaic sodomy laws. In December of 2010, Congress repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Inclusive workplace protections have been instituted in 17 states across the country. Last year, the DSM-IV removed transgender from its list of mental disorders. In 2012, equal marriage passed at the ballot box in several states. Now, today, 13 states and the District of Columbia recognize marriage equality. 3 months ago, the Supreme Court ruled DOMA and Prop 8 unconstitutional, affirming that every American has the fundamental freedom to care for their family and that they can expect equal protection from their government. And just in the last several weeks, brave and fair-minded Americans in New Mexico have begun issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples in 8 counties. I gotta be honest, I didn't know they even had 8 counties, so. I mean, that's impressive. We've made historic progress ensuring that every family can plan for the future and that every child can have access to the American dream, and it's happening in every corner of our nation. You know, I believe there's no greater opportunity, there's no greater dream in America than opportunity. For me, for my story, the American dream has been about opportunity. The opportunity to go from being homeless and hungry to standing here today as a member of Congress. That American dream was real for me. And our job is to ensure that that great American value of opportunity exists for all Americans. While opportunities for LGBT Americans have grown exponentially over the last decade, we face a challenge to finish the job that generations before us started. These are the fights for opportunity that every American needs. And the fight to make certain that never again should be being gay or lesbian or bisexual or transgender ever be an impediment to success. We're almost there. While history will show that it was generations before us that started this struggle for equality, I believe that it is this generation that intends to finish the job right here in this room and in rooms just like this all around the country. What began with pain and struggle and fights just to be heard and to be free, what began with those who became before us will be won as a victory for all of us in the very near future. It will be won in the classrooms of young children with brave and loving gay parents. It'll be won in the boardroom of corporations with talented, hardworking LGBT executives who had to prove that they had a place in that room. And it will be won in the ballot box and the halls of Congress as we send more and more representatives that reflect the true diversity of our nation. We're on the precipice of achieving great things for our country, but we're not there yet. To win over the hearts and minds of Americans, we can never give up. Right now, voters across the country and state legislatures, just like here in Illinois, are deciding our final chapter in America's fight for LGBT equality. The Victory Fund ensures that our voice is present in this chapter. Yeah, DOMA is a thing of the past. And we've won marriage equality in California and Massachusetts and Connecticut and Iowa and Vermont and New Hampshire and New York and Maryland and Maine and Washington and Rhode Island and Delaware and Minnesota and the District of Columbia. But we can't stop fighting until we win Arizona and Florida and Nevada and Texas and New Mexico and North Dakota and South Dakota, and we can't stop until we win in Illinois. We can't stop until the halls of Congress and every level of government everywhere in our country truly represents the American people. We have to keep fighting until we have full equality for all families. So to finish our path of equality, we've got to double down. We've got to work harder, register more voters, educate more friends, drive more people to the polls, call more legislators, run for office, volunteer for a candidate, speak out at work, call your neighbor, donate more to the Victory Fund. There's more work to be done, and we're the ones who've got to do it. Let's go get it. Thank you.